Well, hey, episode 12.
Episode 12.
We got more MotoGP action this week, and we'll have more next week because they're in Europe. And then I was looking today. I didn't realize they just don't race in July at all.
Nope, summer break.
But India is still on the calendar.
Yeah, well, it ain't happening.
You don't think so? What do you know that I don't know?
That track's not done yet either.
Yeah, we'll see. It's on the calendar.
Well, let's get into episode 12 after we roll that beautiful intro footage.
Yesterday at one point, I was in sixth.
And we're back.
We're back. We're live.
We're live.
I'm not going to not say we're live. The best part is that we're actually not live.
Well, I'm live.
Well, we're live right now, you and I, but we're not live whenever this is being listened to.
Right. Because we're filming this on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Hey, same to you. Thank you. Speaking of Father's Day, for all the dads out there, I had a question. Have you ever worn flip-flops while working in your garage or shop or whatever it might be?
Well, if you're asking me,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I very seldom even wore shorts, much less flip-flops in the shop.
All right, well, you are from Utah.
It's not about that. It's not about that. I had a dad that would call, speaking of Father's Day, I had a dad that would call me derogatory terms if I showed up to work in shorts and flip-flops. You can't do this or that without, fill in the blanks. So I grew up afraid to wear shorts.
That's fair. Well, and also I'd say now you're doing a lot more heated work out there.
Heated?
Yeah, heated.
Like mad heated, throwing wrenches at the wall heated, or?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. Apparently there's something I don't know.
You mean, well, there's the multiple versions of heated. Like,
no.
Do you mean I have a heater in my shop?
Well, that's not what I was getting at.
Or we're taking this back to the 50s where
just metal work. Metal work, man.
All right.
Welding, grinding, throwing flames. I don't know. Everything like that.
Sometimes I'm packing a heater when I'm working.
Yeah. That kind of heated. Anyway, we already kind of talked about that, but it cracks me up. The analogy I was actually going to make is, right, I like to live life on the edge. If you ride a motorcycle, there has to be a part of you that likes to live life on the edge, and wearing flip-flops while working on vehicles is my definition of living life on the edge, right? Just makes you that much more attentive to what you're doing. Let me tell you.
Man, you better calm down. That's pretty out there.
Well, you got to turn everything into a good circumstance,
You mean as opposed to the guy with the guy that mows his lawn with the safety glasses, earplugs, and coveralls?
Yeah. See,
do you mow your lawn with flip flops?
No, I have
Why?
before.
Yeah.
So I'll mow with flip flops. I will not like weed eat, edge, trim, whatever you want to call it. I don't do that in flip flops.
But what would neither of us do with flip flops?
Ride a motorcycle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No flip-flops on the motorcycles, guys.
Yeah. Well, realistically, I saw this video actually a couple of days ago where there was a video of a motorcycle going down, and it was like the importance of good gear, which I'm all about good gear. But what shoes do you usually wear when you're riding out on the street?
I have a pair of high-top riding shoes.
Prior to those, let's say like 10 years ago.
Oh. I can most commonly be found with a set of low-top cons.
All right. So that's why this struck my brain, because I remembered that, and I was like, ooh, because that's exactly what this guy in the video was wearing. And they actually like busted apart like this, and then his toes got ground off about 4 inches. I was like, yep, that's what'll happen. That's why you don't wear flip-flops. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I told you what happened to a friend, acquaintance of mine last year wearing full gear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was I don't think it might have. So since we went off on a safety tangent, let's stick there for a minute.
Okay.
So there's an age-old argument about, wearing a helmet. If you're wearing a helmet, it cuts down the view,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the arguments against the helmet is that you can't see, peripheral vision is restricted, things like that. Additionally, you can't hear as good, which coincidentally, if you ride without a helmet on a Harley for a long time, you get what's called motorcycle ear. which just means your ears don't work anymore.
Yep.
Just saying.
Which is actually more from the wind than from loud exhaust.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely from the wind. But there, I mean, if you've never rode a motorcycle before and circumstances were just what it is, and the same guy went out with a helmet, without a helmet, you can hear more that's going on around you potentially without a helmet.
It makes sense.
One of the arguments that used to always get posted is, the weight of the helmet as you're flying through the air and rolling in the bar pit, down the road, banging off of cars. If you don't come in direct contact, something hits you in the head, it's actually worse to have a helmet because the weight of it throws your neck around. And I believe most of that's been misproven.
Yeah.
It's just something they used to say. But you can make that argument with anything. Circumstances are so crazy, right? You never know what's going to happen. Around here in farming country, you might run into a tractor that's got some ton bell forks or something. And for those that don't
finish
know,
the rest of that in your head.
Yeah, that's just a big metal spike. Yeah. And if something like that happens, there's no gear going to save you. That's just that, right?
Yeah.
That reminds me a million circumstances, but like I said, I know a gentleman who hit a car that pulled out in front of him. He T-boned the car, but they pulled out in front of him. Basically, flew over the car wearing great gear, showy helmet, good gear, top to bottom.
Yep.
And his foot stayed in that good gear. Foot stayed in the boot. If he would have been in cons, that might not have happened. So should you make an argument to always wear cons on your motorcycle? No, that's not what I'm saying. But circumstances are crazy. They can't plan for it. You can't prepare for everything.
No, and I think I think that's the key in my head anyway, is that if you are getting on a motorcycle, you are taking a risk, period. You say the same thing about driving a car or whatever. Motorcycles are inherently more dangerous, just based off the fact that you're a lot more open to the atmosphere. You don't have a metal box around you, right? So knowing that's why I really try not to get in arguments with people over what gear they should or shouldn't wear. Like, yeah, absolutely. If your only goal is to ride a motorcycle and live through it, then get every single piece of gear you can, wear an air vest everywhere, and call it good. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to make fun of you for that. If you are wearing the sandals, flip-flops, tank top, backwards hat, I might give you some crap because that's a little on the far end, I think. But at 100 miles an hour, bearskin and jeans don't really have much difference. So
I'd still rather have the jeans on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you look at it it save you, I think, 10 feet before you're. So
I don't think that much, but
well, yeah. Anyway, right? Completely circumstantial. Wear what you want. That's all I'm going to say.
This safety segment was brought to you by I don't know who.
Working Class Customs.
Working Class Customs. So,
and JKMoto, you can wear one of our shirts under whatever gear you want. That shirt, not this one. Mine's still in the mail.
So, I had another thing I wanted to run by you since we're out in the weeds.
Okay.
Did you see we had I won't mention the gentleman's name because we had a runner. I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago, actually, when I was in Germany. I was getting some grief. I got a couple texts from people asking if it was me. We had a runner. We had a S1000 double R.
Oh, the guy on the news?
Yeah.
The helicopter and everything?
Ran from the cops. I mean, that sort of thing happens daily in LA, but apparently it's big news in Utah.
It is. I mean, what else happens? People get skewered on bailing spikes.
It was funny. So BMW S1000, I think in the last podcast, you were talking a little bit about first gear is jail time, second gear is prison at the red line.
Yeah.
We both know what the bikes are capable of, right? Mm-hmm. So they had a runner, didn't stop for a cop and took off. Right. So he was chased by a helicopter. They had film of him for, 60 miles. The guy was run from the cops. He eventually got away.
Right.
The investigative teams were asking for help, to identify this guy. And they have a picture of him that they keep showing. And he had full leathers on the street, full leathers, which ties into what we're talking about a little bit. Got no problem with that. But this guy, they lost him headed for Tooele. That's where our track is.
Yeah.
FYI. So,
yeah,
but he had
UMC is in Tooele, Utah.
So the picture they showed of him though was, it's a black and white racing leathers, typical S1000, but he's got like a leg bag on.
Okay.
The you know the ones.
Yeah, I know the ones. Yeah.
So he's got one of those on.
Might make fun of you for wearing one of those.
Go for it. So he has one of those on. He's got a black helmet, whatever. And I was thinking, I didn't know the guy. Like looking at him, I don't recognize the get up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking there's 150 people at the track that know absolutely who that guy is. Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I was reading some comments as the week went on because it took them almost 2 weeks to figure out who this guy was.
Did they
got
end up
away?
him?
Huh?
Did they end up like finding him or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's been charged with reckless driving, failure to stop for a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And they said more charges may be coming, but they keep showing on the news the footage from the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And they say he's weaving into oncoming traffic.
Okay.
I wish I would have thought enough to have this footage pulled up or something, but he's on a canyon road. The top speed they clocked him at was 138. If you're on an S1000 and you're actually trying to get away from the police,
mm-hmm.
How long does it take you to hit 138 miles an hour?
4.5, 6 seconds, maybe.
Pretty much
under 10 seconds. Yeah. Well, and if you're already doing,
if you're 60 and you stab it,
if you're getting buzzed, you've got to be doing over the speed limit.
Right.
So yeah, probably at least 60. So 3 seconds and you're done.
I was just reading all the comments and they were like, most of the consensus for a lot of the comments, not all, but a lot of the comments were, the guy got away. Leave him alone. Why are you still looking for him? He won. You lost. But watching the video, I watched the video a couple times, and he's on these canyon roads, mm-hmm. and some of it's just on like freeways. So if he was trying to run, I mean, I could see him. He should be at 180, trying to get away from the helicopter or whatever. Not 138. But
not that I've ever run from the cops, but in my head, right? Theoretically, you're on the freeway. You pin it until you can't really see him in the rear view anymore, and then you take an exit, and then you hop on the other side and go the other way.
Yeah, and that part was not a message from our sponsor, but
yeah, that's just purely theoretical. I don't condone running from the police. They're actually usually a lot nicer if you just...
I heard you get into a neighborhood, you find the first garage door that's open, you pull in and you say hi to the family and then explain that you thought there was somebody else.
Yeah, well,
can I stay for tea and crumpets? So this guy, guy, as he's quote unquote running away, I think he was just having a spirited drive in the canyon. I'm not convinced he knew there was a helicopter there, but I'm gonna pay attention to the court battle that ensues, because
I'll dig around and find a video. I'll link it in the description so you guys can watch and let us know your opinion on it. And then
please let us know your opinion, because my opinion is, and you share yours as well, but my opinion at this point is he was having a spirited ride in the canyon. I know when I'm personal story, Harley Nightster, leaving work about 3 miles from home, decided to give her the onion. I was ready to be home. So I gave her the onion. I brought her up to about 110, 120,
does that?
Yeah. I mean, it takes a while, but I'm, I got her up there, and I have AirPods in, no helmet because it's a Harley.
Mm-hmm.
But I go to turn a corner and there's a cop right on me with his lights going, but it's a long straightaway. There's no way on or off the road for like 3 miles. So therefore he had to see me from the beginning.
Yeah.
He had to follow me the entire time, but I hadn't looked in the mirror and noticed he was back there. And so he pulled me over and he seen the AirPods or whatever in my ear. And he's like, "Is your bike loud?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Because I've been back there for a while." And the guy let me off. But my point being, sometimes on a motorcycle, depending if you're a bar end mirror guy or a wide shouldered, can't see past my mirrors guy, sometimes you don't always see what's behind you.
Yeah.
And if a cop's just stuck on you, how do you know? Yeah. That guy, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he never seen the cop buzz him, as you call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and even if you do, like discerning, depending on the time of day, discerning between lights and red and blue, or where I'm from out here, South Carolina right now, it's just blue. They're not red and blue. It's just blue. Even if you have stock mirrors that are, some are good, some are definitely not good. They're like this big. right? Like you can't see anything in those. I get it.
So I feel like, and like you said, link that. Please comment on it. I'm curious to see what people think. But my opinion is he probably never seen the cop, and the cops even admitted that they didn't give chase. So it wasn't like there was a cop car necessarily chasing him for miles and miles. At some point, at least, he got on this canyon road, and they chose not to chase him because But if you watch from the helicopter view, in my opinion, from the helicopter view, he's still screaming along. But I think that was his plan, whether there was a cop, a helicopter or not. That's just what he was out there to do.
Yeah.
And apparently there was no license plate on the bike, which I don't know if they meant during the chase or after because they've caught him and the bike.
Were there lights on?
It was daytime.
Well, maybe it was just a track bike, and he was just headed to his track day, and he was late.
Maybe.
Maybe his trailer caught a flat, and he was headed to a track day on his track.
And if that's the case, then that nice police officer should have turned them cherries on and given him a
police escort. Yeah,
an escort.
Yeah,
because track time's important.
It is.
Doesn't come around every weekend.
Speaking of getting to the track, go to Track Day Circus.
Come to the Track Day Circus.
Put on your clown shoes.
Put on your flip-floppers and come on down.
Put on your flip-flops, but don't make sure you also bring boots because they won't let you ride in flip-flops, I don't think.
Yeah, but you can wear flip-flops if you're just watching.
Yeah.
And we got to point out that you should come watch. So if you go to trackdaycircus.com, they have a website. They're listing all the events. And I know sometimes weather permitting, but they are listing a bike show on Saturday night. So bring your bike down. You know, you don't want to race on the track, but you got one of them sexy Harley Davidsons, bring it down, and there's the Harleys can come to the track.
Oh, absolutely. So I just knew you'd see that face and get upset.
So you can bring those out, like I said, for the bike show, but they're also having roll drags. The roll drags are car versus car, bike versus bike, bike versus car, any combination.
Bike versus car. All right. So listen up. Tell your friends, or if it's you, listen to that for a second. You have a buddy who always says that his car is faster. This is your chance to prove once and for all that, in fact, it's not. So invite him out. Yeah, invite him out. Or if it's two of your buddies or whatever, you know, go let them know. Come out to the circus. It'll be a great time.
We're going to throw the 22 in the trailer.
Okay.
But it might only be in the trailer for just that reason. I've got that buddy.
Yeah.
I got to go check my insurance policy because he does drive a Mustang. So things could happen.
Yeah.
But I see what he got.
I'm kind of, man, I'm extremely excited for that whole, we got more than just Track Day Circus planned. I'll be out there for about a week and a half. Track Day Circus, and then we're going to go carve up some Utah roads, I think.
Absolutely.
Take the old brick out, maybe.
Of course.
But I am a little sad that the Aprilia will not be making her debut out there.
I told you to FedEx it over here.
Yeah, if FedEx had an option, if there was like a quick, like, oh yeah, just UPS your bike with 2-day shipping, I would freaking do it.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it would cost, and I don't know if I care. I would do it. That'd be sweet. Someone get on that. Whichever of you has a shipping company, whatever, no more of this, like I have to search high and low to get the best deal for motorcycle shipping. No, I want FedEx to offer motorcycle shipping or UPS or whatever. There's plenty of room in the back of the truck. Have you ever seen those things?
Yes.
There's like nothing actually in there.
So truck freight is going to be at least out here, and this ain't going to win us any sponsors, but I will not ship my bike on Old Dominion.
I don't even know what that is.
That's usually what you have to, in my job, that's where you have to ship bigger stuff. I mean, they could absolutely ship a motorcycle, truck freight.
Okay.
They never get there on time. It's always, you get the last thing in the truck, it seems, when they're delivering to your house. If you have like a home delivery, it's the last thing in the truck, and it's not strapped to the floor. So it has seen the front of the trailer, the rear of the trailer, the sides of the trailer, and it may or may not be sleeping on its top. I've ordered multiple big items to the house, and they've all arrived that way. So let's not do that. Okay. You'll be putting fairings together and making another video.
Sounds good. I got to pull up a picture real quick because that reminded me. Do you remember that Aprilia that was for sale? "Quote unquote, shipped very safely."
Oh man. Did you save that picture?
Yeah, I've got it. I was about to delete it, and then I was like, I can't delete that. I got to have that. I knew it would come up at some point. I think this is a great time.
All right. Can I give the context?
Yep. Yeah. Light it up.
So the picture he's about to show, sorry those of you that aren't watching. the picture he show is a real ad
Mm-hmm.
for a motorcycle. I won't even mention what state or what classified it was on, but it was a real ad. And this picture was it's a new bike that was purchased, and it's not very old. It only had like 200 miles on it or something.
300. Yep.
300. But the gentleman selling it was trying to show the care that had been taken in shipping it to his house, and so that you can trust him.
Yeah. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. All right. So I have this right here because here he is. As you can see, transferred to blah with love and care. Engine haven't break in. Never passed 5,000 RPM. It's a 2023, right? Just talking amazing about the bike. And he has a picture of the bike. All right. 2023 RSV4. Sweet. Here we go. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This is how.
Oh, man. Can you zoom in on that?
Yeah. Let me get it a little. Oh, come back. A little zoomed in here. This is how it was transported safely. Now, let me. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, and I guess those are looped, but at least 3 on each side, maybe even 4.
No, because there's ratchets on all sides. So
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I don't know. There is so much going on. I don't actually know what's going on. But take a quick look. What is that?
That's a kickstand. That's a Jiffy stand if you're a Harley guy.
Oh my goodness, Harley guy. Here we go. But yeah, that's a kickstand. The bike is at an angle, clearly in the back of a U-Haul truck, strapped to. Well, and how much experience do you have with U-Haul trucks?
Well, you know some of my experience with U-Haul trucks, and some of
Right.
my soon to have more apparently. But
these little wooden panels will not hold a bike up. They're
what if it's held in 6 places?
Then maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe that's why I did it. But I will point out, so strapping your bike off the kickstand, I've done that before, right? Put up in the truck, kickstand down, get the one side, get it leaning to that side just far enough that it's about to fall over, but it doesn't quite, right? And then you strap the other side and you're good to go. But then you're always supposed to put the kickstand back up.
I don't know if you're supposed to, but I mean, I've been known to leave a kickstand down just in case something falls.
So that's specifically why you're supposed to, though.
Because you don't want it to fall that way.
Because if the bike falls and your kickstand's down and it takes enough impact, your kickstand will slam up into the bottom of your engine. I've seen that and been told that a few times, and I didn't really believe it, but then I sat there thinking about it and going through the math in my head of like big bump, bike falls, but not even bike falls, just big bump and bike takes enough of a squat that the kickstand gets slammed up into the bottom. I think it's possible.
Well, you could definitely jar hard enough to bust the ear off the case that holds the kickstand, or which could be catastrophic. Or I know I'm guilty of this. I know some of the wheel chocks. Sometimes when I park a bike in, I'll stick it in and kick it to one side just a little bit, and put the kickstand down just in case it decides to flip the front wheel off. Come
out of the wheel chock. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of another one of those.
That picture you just showed, it just reminds me. I always enjoy like looking through the classifieds, and there'll be, let's say, a dirt bike, and this guy's like, there's 2 types of people. One ad that has this beautiful polished bike sitting in a garage, and the guy says he's never drove it, and you have to go, why did you buy it? Of course you drove it. You're lying to me. A 2-stroke that's like, new cylinder, never been fired. Then why'd you rebuild it? Everybody with a 2-stroke didn't just barely rebuild it to sell it.
Yeah.
But
no, they did. All of them.
But the other side of that spectrum is there'd be some Yahoo that's like hitting the biggest triple you've ever seen. Like,
and that's the picture he posts.
That's the picture he posts. Look how cool I am. And I'm like, I don't want your bike, dude. I mean, kudos, you're awesome, but I don't want a bike that's been through that. I want the grandpa's bike that's never.
Or like, I mean, this isn't motorcycle, but very similar, like the Jeep ads where you get a Jeep that's like caked in mud. The next picture, it's flexed like way beyond. The next picture, it's in the shop being worked on, clearly broken. You're like,
no, thank you. I'm
good.
I want the one my mom bought that goes to Walmart and home, and then I'll take it and flex it.
Yeah, I mean, I already talked to you. I sent you that picture, I think.
It
was like meticulous care and then 40 straps. I'm like, I mean, I guess I'm sure it made it in amazing condition, but
this is a whole other thing. We're gonna talk some MotoGP today or what?
Nah.
I thought that might be why we're beating around the bush.
Well, we already talked about today. We talked about it last week.
What does this mean?
5.
What does 5 have in common with MotoGP?
That's how many Ducatis finished.
Nope, that's the amount of times old Golden Underwear put it in the dirt.
Yeah. He ain't the only one, though. I mean, I agree with that.
Yes, he is the only one.
For 5 times, but...
No, well, listen, the person, I'm going to just start it with this. We're going to bag on your guy for a minute.
All right, go for it.
It's the bike, it's the whatever. Here's what I'm saying. The person I was watching the race with today said, yeah, without Mark here, it's pretty straightforward. There's only been one little wreck. Like without Mark and nobody's crashing. There were no crashes today. There was one. There was a slide off or whatever.
Brad Binder.
Which talk about that. Did you see that?
No, I saw it, but I didn't catch that. I was actually off doing something else, literally at that moment.
Yeah, you should go back and watch that. I don't think the announcers got it right. I'm trying to remember why they were saying he crashed, but if you watch the replay, he almost runs over like his own leg. His leg gets caught. His leg kind of gets caught off the peg, and you see his leg like jerking over there. Yeah. And then it looked just like a guy in a canyon that doesn't commit to a corner. I mean, if you didn't see the leg, it just looked like the guy that's like, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know. And tries to go straight at the last second.
Well, man, so I was about to, while I was watching it in the first little bit, I was like, man, are we going to have to talk about Brad Binder? Because, I don't have an issue with him. I think he's actually starting to show he's got a little bit of talent. But I would have never expected us to be talking about Brad Binder.
I want to talk about something real quick right there because I haven't stopped you in the past. But I know there's some people listening to this that every time you talk about Brad, you always say he's starting to show you're always saying that. There's people out there probably screaming saying, Brad Binder's been the bomb since he's seen a motorcycle. That guy, there's people saying that. And there's a reason KTM gave him that 4-year contract we were talking about. There has always been, he just don't qualify. So you haven't been paying attention to him. Because I mean, last year or even the year before, he's always been there. He passes more people than anybody on the track. It's just he's usually starting from 16th and then he finishes 9th.
Yeah, this year, okay. I'll give you that. So this year they've got a ride height device or something. Launch control actually works, so he can make it from 15th to 9th in the first lap, and then.
So I'm just saying, you please continue, but.
So
you can still have your opinion exactly how you have it. I just want people that are listening to know that my opinion is not exactly yours. The guy's been he's been a track weapon for years now.
All right.
And I think a lot of people at home feel the same. So
I'll go back and watch every Brad Binder race there is, and I'll give you the stats.
His brother
this year, I don't know if he can keep it out of the dirt though.
Well, that's 2 out of 7.
I don't know. No, he's looking good. I've been impressed. I've been happy. I've been like, all right, good. However, every time I see and I'm looking at it right now, I'm looking at MotoGP screen over here. Every time I see a KTM from the front, I'm like, why does it look like a Ducati? They're so similar that I'm just like, I don't know. But, if they're winning, then why not copy them?
So for those that don't know, now you know. Our episode last week ended up being titled the Ducati Cup.
Yep.
Should have saved that title for one more week.
Well, I think that's why I said we already talked about this week last week. Because
this week was worse than last week, though.
It was. Yeah.
It's the man, the myth, and the legend, Jack Thriller Miller.
Oh, there it is.
If he was no timers this week. If they annoyed me, so that's why I got Mark and Jack Alloway already. So if let's say Jack would have done his normal thing and pushed too hard and ran her into the gravel, how many Ducatis are there in MotoGP?
8.
That is who would have been 1st through 8th.
Yeah. Well, DG?
Yeah. They were all up there. If Jack wouldn't have been there, that would have been top 8 Ducati.
Oh, sorry. Let me get the results. I'm looking at the World Championship.
Why don't you trust me?
I do, but I got to check it. Oh, my goodness.
So they keep bragging about. So last week was the first time in history that 3 Ducatis had filled the podium. First time in history. And this week they were going, it took all them years to get there, to get 3 Ducatis on the podium at the same time. And now this year they're going to back it up and do it again. And I'm looking at the thing going, if Jack doesn't watch his P's and Q's, all Ducatis are going to be 1 through 8. They only have 8 bikes. They had 1st through 9th were all Ducatis, 1 KTM.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why there was that meme of
I seen that. That was
Jack's
great.
face with just Ducati everywhere. Well, and
but I'm okay with it. Now, hear me out. You said sometimes you wish it was just a Ducati Cup or a whatever, right? And I don't agree with you on that. Maybe sometimes, I can play with that idea too. But to me, there's so many differences between those teams. Like I'm watching, Bastianini down there, still trying to get back from his injury, right? 2 top 10s, 2 races back, 2 top 10s. I think he's still okay. We'll let him finish healing. But Pramac, that's the 3rd week in a row that they put bikes on the podium. But there's still enough action in battles like Luca Marina versus Bezzecchi. It was important for Bezzecchi to get past Luca in my mind because he's trying to prove that he's the number 1 bike in that group.
Right.
And he can't get beat by Luca, or what does that do for him? Right. And he's got to stay in. I mean, there's enough storylines. Or Zarco. Everybody's talking, where's Zarco going to be next year? And he's podium in every race. Yeah. So if the second half of the year doesn't fall off like normal, who knows where that? I mean, he's 4th in the points now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nuts. Well, and
that's talking about sacking him.
I have to keep reminding myself that there is the summer break coming up, and then there is half of the season after that. So
you think Yamaha's going to buy 2 2022 Ducatis and then like paint them blue?
Rebadge them. It's a rebadged Ducati. No, it's not.
Oh, well, let's touch on Yamaha for a minute. That was pitiful.
It was rough, but it's been rough. That's not new. In fact, I think they did better this weekend than normal.
So they didn't crash. So that's something.
Yeah. But that's what I want to hit on is that at the end
Mark
of the weekend,
wasn't there, so nobody crashed. That's what you want to talk about.
No, because what happened in the sprint?
Mark was there and people crashed.
Mark was there. But did Mark crash?
No, but
did he
people
do anything? No, he finally just said, I just can't do it anymore. And I think that might be what Fabio has been doing for a minute. What Quartararo has been doing for a minute is saying that this bike is not good enough, so I'm not going to go out there and risk it when there's no point. Because I cannot believe that he is a bottom 12 rider.
Yeah. Can you believe that the Yamaha's a bottom 12 bike?
Yeah, I'm starting to get there. Not necessarily, but I can believe that the Ducatis are the upper 12 bikes. I don't want to say that the Yamaha just sucks. It's like we talked about last week. That's why this is so hard to say because it's just an extension of last week's episode. But I don't want to say that the Yamaha and the Honda are just terrible. But I don't think those bikes have it.
So the Honda's a death trap. We can go back to that in a minute. But what I have a hard time getting my head around is last year, Fabio, Jorge Martin just beat Pecco. Heads up, twice. 2022 versus 2023.
Twice, yeah. Well, that's because
So hear me out though. So those 2 bikes looked pretty comparable on the track. I mean, you could make some arguments. I mean, I think Pecco was turning tighter turns. He was obviously able to catch Jorge Martin. Yada yada yada. How much of that is differences in the bike? How much of that is differences in riding style? Those bikes can both compete, the 2022 and the 2023. So Jorge Martin's bike is the one Pecco was driving last year.
Right.
Therefore, the first half of the year, Fabio was up 90 points before this race last year. Yeah. He was up 90 points, and it went to hell. His season went to hell. Pecco set the record for overcoming the largest deficit to win the championship last year.
Yep.
Well, he was on a 2022, and Fabio was on the bike he is now, let's say. The only thing they've done is supposedly gave him more power. And now he says it don't do nothing. Nobody's talking about it now, but before last week, they said they were going to quit screwing with it. They're just going to go back to 2021 settings, I think they said. They're just going to go back to that good turning Yamaha. I don't know if that meant motor, everything, like power-wise or power curve. I just can't get over the feeling that on any given weekend, you could put Fabio and Pecco on their respective bikes, and those 2 could both compete and both hammer it out, And to see Fabio back there that long, to me, he has given up. because they always brag about he's been able to push that on the razor's edge. And is he not willing to do that anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, because he can't qualify either.
Right.
Which is confusing to me because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
He's had multiple tears of, 3 poles in a row. And
yeah. And I mean, when he qualifies, he's a guy that we make fun of him all the time, and he likes to be on his own. He'll specifically, like, if he has anyone behind him or in front of him, he'll just stop.
Right.
And he'll wait until the track's clear, and he'll go do his own lap. And maybe it's just time to switch that up, dude. Get out of your head and figure it out. I don't know, but
there's something.
It's
something
weird.
is not right over there.
Yeah. Well, what's scary to me is that this year is making it look like Japanese bikes are just going to be gone.
I hope not, but it looks out.
It's interesting. In my opinion, I think that Aprilia needs to fire 2 of its guys, and I would like to see if the Japanese bikes. Okay, yeah, I was going to give him another year, but sure.
He had another year on a different flavor bike.
Yeah. I mean, he's had some randoms. The guy that's actually had some randoms is the rookie, Mr. Augusto over there. Not on the Aprilia, just randoms in general.
He was on the Tech 3 bike last year.
Augusto?
So we got to get this settled right here, okay? Because it's so confusing because there's too many Fernandezes.
Yeah.
Last year on the Tech 3 KTM team, which is a satellite KTM team,
Raul
Tech 3 had Remy Gardner.
Oh, yep, I agree.
And Raul Fernandez, or Augusto Fernandez.
Which one?
They both got fired, and one of them went to Aprilia satellite team.
That would be Raul. Yeah.
So Raul is not a rookie.
Right.
Because he was on the Tech 3 bike last year.
So Augusto is the rookie.
Which
is the guy that I was saying had the randos.
Okay. I'm just saying I want to clear this up.
All right.
There's too many Fernandezes. There's some more coming down the pipeline too.
Yeah. Fire 3 of them. Sure. I want to believe that the Aprilia is close to as competitive as the KTM in a little bit different way, but I think they're right there, and I just don't think the riders have it.
So today's race, one of those factory Aprilias blew up.
Mm-hmm.
I love the commentator said. You mentioned a couple weeks ago that they don't talk bad about riders.
Yeah.
Well, here's Maverick Vinales. His bike blows up, which arguably is not his fault, right? He could have been doing something. I don't know, but I don't think so. Not trying to start something there. Just saying. Right. The bike blew up, and the announcer's like, "Old Top Gun's out there firing blanks."
I didn't catch that one. I did catch them saying that last year, his championship chances were thrown off last year because of a ride height device technical issue from Aprilia, and this year they're thrown off because of this. And I'm just like, what about all the times that he just hasn't done well?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, if that threw his championship off this year, then they were expecting a pretty serious comeback because he hasn't sniffed a championship chance since the first week.
Yeah, well, I think that's more of what it was just that solidified it. Yep, absolutely not. He's too far gone. But here's what's insane. I was looking at points today, and Fabio could take first place I didn't factor in the sprint. Shoot. That messes up my math. Let's go back to last year and pretend there's no sprints for a second because I haven't done that math yet. But he could take first in the next 4 races with Bagnaia DNFing all of them.
Or injured.
Yeah, or injured or whatever, and still not catch up. 4 perfect races at 25 points a pop. Yep. Bagnaia not there, making sure he gets 0 or, finishes less than 16th or less than 15th and still not catch up.
So let me swing this back to Aprilia because you said you think the Aprilia is just as good as the KTM.
I want to think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I started talking about Maverick. Get him out of the way. His bike blew up. Not his fault, whatever. But Aleix was battling with Jack. He was battling with a bunch of Ducatis for a while, and then he drifted back. If you noticed, Aleix and Fabio both didn't think they had a shot in hell, so they went soft to start that race.
Yeah.
At least rears.
Yeah, it doesn't have the tires up here right now, but yep.
Whatever combination they did, they went softer than everybody else. And so those bikes both fell off at the end because Aleix was up there battling Jack. He was battling with Gigi and Alex Marquez. And again,
I don't know. Aleix makes me upset because I feel like he is talented to a degree. I don't think he's ever actually quite been championship material. Not like there are some people that if you put them on the right bike, they can win a championship. There are other people that it doesn't matter the bike, they could win a championship or at least have potential, right? Not that they will, but I really, really want to put Jack on that list of could win a championship no matter the bike. His consistency is just not there, which I think is because of his send-it attitude, and then he gets upset and then makes a tiny mistake somewhere. But Jack's always got a good attitude.
He threw hands in the sprint race again.
Yeah, he does that. But he's always got a good attitude after the race, right? I've never heard Jack be like, well, yeah, this bike sucks, and if they can't fix it, my chances are done. He's just like, yeah, we messed up. We'll do better next week. Whereas Aleix gets off the bike, and he's just talking mad crap. So his attitude has never been there. That's not a winner's attitude, in my opinion.
I know you posted it on the Instagram today, but the Jack.
Yeah. Down the straight at Mugello.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, at Mugello, Jack shot past everybody off the start, which he did today again.
Yep.
But he passed everybody off the start.
And yesterday.
He's got a good relationship with old Pecco. They were teammates last year. You just see him going by, giving him a peace sign as he's passing him, at the most pressure point potentially of the race. And here he is like, woohoo, peace out, buddy.
Arguably the reason that part of the reason that Ducati got rid of him and the reason that we like him so much.
So you said last week that maybe Jack should listen to the podcast because what we were going to teach him was it's okay to come in 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, if he's not there that week, I would rather see you put some points on the board because I want to see you in the championship to the end,
Yeah.
I want you to have a fighting chance to the end. So he listened to that.
Yeah, he must have listened to the podcast.
He listened to that, and that's what he did this week. And then everybody think that at Mugello he was peace, Pecco. But I think he might have been showing you that he can drive just as good with his hands off the bars as he can with them on.
I don't know. I was wondering if that when he came into that turn and lost the rear a little bit, and he had like 3 people pass him right there. I kind of wondered. Yeah, I wonder if that got in his head a little bit because he never seemed to recover from that. He just kind of kept not like bad, but kept falling down nice and slow. And maybe because they just didn't have the cameras in the right spot, so I didn't catch him fighting. But it didn't look like he fought too hard after that.
Assuming that Jack and Brad's bikes are identical.
Mm-hmm.
Other than set up for rider preferences and those things. They need to figure out how Jack can qualify Brad's bike for him. And then Brad can drive it during the race. Because
but Jack's got to launch it.
Well, Brad's proven he can too.
He can too. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him that.
We'll talk off camera.
I don't know. They're pretty like back and forth though.
Well, so Jack consistently beats him in qualifying, but Brad consistently passes him during the race.
But then one of them consistently dumps it.
Yeah, one of them crashes. They take turns.
Yeah.
I did read some stuff, listen to some stuff, and there's some speculation about why they can launch the way they can launch.
Okay.
We'll talk offline because I want to research that a little further before I, have to go to the corner. So
yeah.
So I'll wait, but it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, not to get right back into Ducati Cup, but that was what was going through my head the whole time. As I was just like, so one, I wonder is Jorge around to stay?
I think so.
Is Bezecchi, is he done, or is it just depends on the track? I will say I think Pecco's going to take it.
Also now, 1 week later, we have to pack up. I asked you if we had to pack up and leave last week, and you said no.
Well, I mean, it's still going to be interesting, but I'm excited for the summer break.
See if anybody can pull their heads out.
Yeah. Honestly, there's usually some big updates that come over the summer break. I've already written this season off for anyone not on a Ducati, honestly.
Stop there.
Okay.
Does it matter, though?
No.
Watching that race today with them 8 Ducatis up in the front, were you really going, gosh, this race would, well, you might have if old Golden Underwear was up there, but leave him out of the equation. Were you like, man, I just really wish Miguel Oliveira was up here. It was a good race. The race for the front was great.
Yeah.
Zarco Brad was great until Brad threw it in the weeds.
Yeah.
Even behind that, who was going to Luca Bezecchi?
So Luca, everyone besides Pecco, I enjoy watching.
And Pecco's not a robot. He ran that robot right into Jorge Martin.
Yeah, but did you notice I don't know, man. He's he's like me. He calculates everything, right? I calculate every single thing I do before I do it. And that's why I could never get anywhere near professional racing because I wouldn't be willing to just maybe let's find out.
Everybody wanted this year to see Bastianini and Bagnaia going at it, right?
That's the other reason I'm excited for the summer break.
That's what everybody wanted to see. And aside from that, Martin was pissed because Bastianini took his seat in his mind. You've seen that he took the shot. After the race, in his interviews afterwards, he was saying things along the lines of, I was able to race him. I was able to beat him heads up.
Yeah.
I mean, he took the opportunity to say this was me versus him, mano a mano, and I outrode him. I beat him on an inferior equipment.
Right.
He was taking all the chances to.
Yeah, he thinks he's hot something,
which is great. I mean, he's always been fast. If he can put it together and quit wrecking.
Which that's the question. Is past couple weeks I've been pleasantly surprised, I think, at least all weekend this weekend. Which Germany is an interesting track though, because it's so opposite from Italy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of my next thing with it being so many Ducatis is you do actually get a feel for which rider is better at different things because they're all on the same freaking bike.
There's 8 Ducatis.
Mm-hmm.
I've said that 100 times, I know, but there's 8 Ducatis, and they still don't have enough bikes for everybody that wants to ride one, though. You know, you start talking about silly season. Did you see that Ducati, as a reward to Batista, he's getting a 2-day tryout on a MotoGP bike?
I didn't see that.
For winning the championship last year. It's common, right? They'll give him, I mean, Top Rat got to ride a Yamaha earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
But
that like in a test or?
Yeah, in a test environment.
So not like wild card.
Yeah, not a wild card yet, but he has kind of mentioned that he might want to do Phillip Island. That's a great track for him in World Superbike. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen. But Ducati's doing a 2-day test. What reason is there for a 2-day test? Normally that would only be because you want to do your first day of testing and have the night to talk about what we're going to change tomorrow to go faster. That no longer feels like a gift or a reward. That feels like a test, right?
Yeah.
So either they think he might have something to offer. You just had 8 bikes in the top 9. I mean, how much faster do you need to get?
Yeah.
That you're digging that deep trying to find another little secret. And I get staying ahead of the game and everything else, but that's a little odd. But there's riders over there that want to come to MotoGP. They want to be on Ducatis. I think we touched on Bezzecchi taking Bastianini's spot potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But as the world turns, there's some interesting things going on. So we talked about Morbidelli's interview last week.
Yeah.
He just added to that this week. They interviewed him again, asked him about last week, of course, and he didn't back down at all. He just piled on. Even went as far as to ask some guy from VR46. Instead of saying ask Jarvis, he said ask the dude from 46. And basically, reading between the lines, he left it as like, Yamaha's going to have to entice me to stay because I've got to see that VR46 already.
Yeah.
And he said they want me.
Interesting.
So there's 2 people there, so somebody has to leave, right?
Yeah.
Somebody has to leave. Well, how do you fire? You're not going to fire either one of those guys.
Oh.
Gigi or Gigi and Antonio, the other Fabio.
Yeah.
The other Fabio's out.
Yeah.
He's gone. Those bikes are too sought after at this point, all of them.
Yeah.
So
all 8 of them. 8 of them.
So he's gone. I still think Zarco's going to be gone because Zarco's older and he can't win a race. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He can't.
Yeah, he's got such great late race pace, but that doesn't help you when the leaders are 6 seconds ahead of the guy number 2 and 3 spots. It's great. Get you on a podium when a guy wrecks out or when some guys are having a bad week, but when you can't really qualify, well, he qualified okay this week, I guess, but not always the best at it. And then, his late race pace is amazing. It doesn't do you any good unless everyone's already tight. And right now, this season, not shaping up to be very tight. I'm going to go ahead and predict it. We're going to have a lot more runaway races. Not necessarily from those 2, but
that's starting to look more and more that way.
Yeah.
I'm saying, so Fabio, DG, Antonio, out.
Okay.
One of the VR46 guys are going to potentially move to either that one. I don't know why they would move to that one. There's a Pramac spot if Zarco's gone. One of them move up. Yep. But you're going to see Morbidelli on a VR46 next year. I don't know how that's going to happen, but he's going to get to one of them VR46 bikes.
Maybe they just add a 3rd bike.
I don't think, well, they can't. So there's 2 open grid spots, which brings us to Husqvarna. Husqvarna is going to be in MotoGP next year, which will be KTM's 5th and 6th bike.
Which KTM's proving that they can do okay, because you got Jack and Brad are doing pretty good.
The difference is it's the first. Well, it's not. The crazy thing about the Ducatis, man, is the first one's just as good as the last one, or close enough to, right? Obviously, Pecco, Jorge Martin maybe are standouts, right? And Bezzecchi, pretty much. Fabio DG Antonio, I don't want to say his name anymore. Gigi is the one that suffered the most.
Yeah.
Out of all 8. He's the one that, I mean, Alex has suffered in different ways, but when he's been on the track, he's shown that he can run up there. He's the only bad one. But if you look at KTM, you can make an argument that Jack and Brad are both good, but then gases are nowhere.
Well, Pole is gone.
Yeah, so I get that.
The fill-in rider is never a good call, and Augusto is a rookie, and he's in 11th this week. So take out the 8 Ducatis, and he's in 3rd. That's the issue. I think that's my biggest issue is that
you can't think of it that way.
Well, but I don't want to, but there's part of me that the Ducati is such an amazing bike. So who is actually the good rider? And now they're trading off enough that I'm starting to fall back from that. Right. But it takes me more than just a race, more than just one weekend to say like, oh, okay, no, yeah, everything's fine. I need some time. I calculate everything I do. Right. Same here, but it makes me like a little upset because I think there's a lot more talent that just isn't on a Ducati this year. And I think there are a couple of places where there isn't talent that is on a Ducati. Maybe.
So it's 4 different teams. You just got to think of it as 4 different teams. It's not 8 Ducatis. It's 4 teams on Ducatis.
Sure.
It's different.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Mark some more?
No.
Please?
Sure. Go ahead.
This
is the second time that you have brought it up.
I brought it up earlier. I brought it up now. Maybe bring it up one more time. But is there any part of you that thinks he's lacking that he's lost some ability, not just the bike? The bike's junk. The bike's garbage. Let's just go with that. But
prior to this weekend, I thought so. Not anymore. So the 5 wrecks this weekend should have made me think like, well, maybe it is Mark. We were in Germany. Every single time he's shown up to Germany, he's won. Which strap the golden underwear on because he has not lost a MotoGP race in Germany yet. Which I don't care. But
you can't have it both ways. You said we were calling the sprint a race?
Yep. No, that's why I'm just saying in his head, right? I was like, I wonder if there's a part of him that's like, I can't win it. But hang on a second. If I just don't start, then I don't lose. Then I've still never lost a race in Germany at that point.
When we were watching the race today, my partner in crime said it's too much for him because the goals are too lofty. Like you said, he's never lost, and he's looking at it going, there's no way I'm going to win this. That was their opinion today.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No, coming towards this weekend, I was worried, but I honestly, do I think that Mark has lost some talent? No. Do I think that other people have come up to his talent level and he finally has some rivals that are there with him again? Yes, right? Because you could argue that since like 2016, he hasn't really had between 2016 and 2020 when he wrecked, right? So 17, 18, and 19.
Davi, they just made him a legend.
Yeah, he was there. Sure, they were fighting, but that was it. It was like that one guy, right? And now you've got a bunch of people that are on way better bikes. If we're going to go ahead and say that Honda's garbage, which yes, I do think it is. So Nakagami came out and said he was scared to ride it anymore because he's seen Mark make mistakes that he's like, I don't think he did anything wrong. And that's where I'm at, honestly. I think you know me well enough to know that, like, yeah, I like Marc Marquez, but if he was doing terrible, I'd say he should retire. Just like I said, Rossi should retire back in the day. That's just how it is. If you're going to just go out there and wreck bikes, like, I get why your sponsor's keeping you around because your name's still big enough that it's making money, but what's your point in being there? Sorry. I don't think Marc Marquez is at that level yet. I do think he would be smart to tell Honda that he's not going to try anymore until they figure their bike out. He's just going to try and keep the bike on the track and keep it good. I don't think his skill level has gone down. No.
I know that every track's different, but as you just stated, this is Mark's track, right?
Yep.
He owns this track. Well, was Mugello the first week back?
No, it was the second or third maybe after his wreck and his injury.
No, so that first race back, what's the one that he struggled or didn't struggle? Did an amazing job, was up there fighting at the front before he crashed out at the end.
Oh, crashed out his second? I don't remember.
So regardless, those weekends since he's come back from his latest injury, right?
Yeah.
Unless he's injured right now, which we don't know for sure yet.
He's got a fractured thumb.
So the bike didn't get worse the last 3 races. He was able to jump on that bike. How did it get worse? There's no way it got worse. I mean, what they got is what they got, and they're supposedly trying to improve it, right?
Yeah.
but I don't think the bike got worse in the last 3 races.
I don't know. In the last 3 races, you've got 3 riders out with injury.
So then let's call it the same.
Okay.
Because maybe they haven't developed anything. But
I don't know.
But for him to come out this week on his track and just fling it into the rocks over and over and over again, he knows what bike he was getting on. He doesn't have to.
I honestly think Honda made some change, which they make changes all the time.
Right.
So I think they made some change that took away some amount of feedback, right? And that's why last week in Mugello, we saw him put the bike down and then look at it like, what is this? And then this week he was just losing it left and right.
He had that rain prep bike.
Mm-hmm.
He had the rain suspension. It still had slicks on it, but when he crashed right in front of pit lane, ran over there and jumped on another bike and took off again. I wish he would have hurried a little faster because that probably would have been 6 wrecks because that's not even a hit. I'm just saying.
No,
He was going to try to do one more hot lap.
Yep.
If he would have made it across the line, I was watching in the little map. He was coming around. I'm like, no way he's making it. Watched the clock tick down, and he didn't make it. But if he would have, that would have been a serious lap he was pushing there. But I mean, he's been able to come out and do one fast lap. I mean, he's been qualifying high generally.
Yeah.
Since he's come out, it shows that the bike's fast.
Can be. I think I don't know. I have no idea. I wish I could be down there and, I wish I could have a conversation with each one of these riders where it's like, hey, just me, you, no cameras, no press. And then I'd come put it on here. So I guess technically press, but and just talk to me for real. Who cares what Honda thinks? Who cares what anyone thinks? Is the bike shit or is it you? Or is it just a bad season?
Right.
Like, I don't know. My only thing is that Rins and Mir, not amazing, but they're not terrible either.
Rins
doesn't have a world championship. Mir does. So I'm always gonna back him up with that.
My problem with Mir over Rins is there are people still making an argument. I heard a statement the other day that said if Suzuki was still here, they'd be the 3rd best bike on the grid.
Interesting.
Unchanged. If you just dusted off to Suzuki and put it on there, they'd be right behind KTM, 3rd best bike on the grid.
That's so easy to say.
It is so easy to say. I agree with you. I'll give you that. But if that championship for Mir is a long ways away, or it's a long time ago. It doesn't seem like it, but it is because a lot's changed. And Mark was gone. That was the first year Mark was gone. Remember?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody that was the year everybody kept saying nobody wants to win the championship.
Yeah.
Because you'd get the points lead and then you just crash out of the next race and the next guy'd take his turn doing the same thing. So, and Mir won off of consistency that year. Is why I don't give him as much credit as Mark wasn't there, which we're beyond that now. But at the time, you had to beat the champion to beat the champion. And he didn't do that. But then Mark could never quite get back. I've let that go at this point. Pecco's the champion in my book.
Yeah.
Fabio was the champion in my book, but Joan Mir never felt like the champion to me. And
so hang on a second. What makes Fabio the champion though? He didn't beat the champion.
No,
he beat Joan Mir, and then he immediately lost it the year after, and now this year he's doing terrible.
Fair enough. But
I like Quartararo, but if we're gonna talk like stats like that, then
no, you're right.
Yeah, I got it.
They did the same thing, technically.
Just a year later.
I'll give you that one. I hadn't thought of it in that way, but I'll give you that one. If Pecco doesn't win this year, he's trash too. They're all trash. So the argument I would make, though, is that Alex Rins on the Suzuki, he's good for a couple wins every year. He's pretty up and down. He likes to put it in the grass, more often than he should. I mean, hell, he won 2 of the last 3 races on the Suzuki when he knew they were being canceled last year.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It's like, hey, this bike's, let's win
the
race.
You can make the same argument. He won Coda out of nowhere this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's normally good there, but if a Honda was going to win, it was going to be Mark, which he wasn't even there. But going into that race, not before you knew he wasn't going to be there, it was if a Honda wins this, the only chance is with Mark.
Yep.
And then here's Alex Rins. Woohoo! Watch what I can do.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like they're seasoned, at least somewhat talented motorcycle riders in MotoGP. They've been wrecking that bike like crazy.
Have you ever heard him say you can't teach fast, but you can teach somebody how not to wreck?
I don't actually think I've ever heard that, no.
It's said a bunch of different ways, but the gist is you'd rather have a fast rider on your team that wrecks too much. You can try to fix that than to get a slow rider and try to make him fast.
Okay.
And in my opinion, Joan Mir's the slow rider you're trying to teach to go fast. Alex Rins is the fast rider you're trying to teach not to wreck.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I could see that to a degree.
Moto 2. I like to bring up Moto 2.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
Pedro Acosta.
Mm-hmm.
Dominated.
The baby Jesus.
The baby Jesus dominated, destroyed.
Yeah.
And won another one. But Tony Arbolino, the Italian,
he
was down 25 points before last week. That's the guy that got the pizza delivered to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he finished second last week also.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, the race last week was Pedro Acosta, Tony Arbolino, Jake Dixon.
Yep.
The race this week was Pedro Acosta, Tony Arbolino, Jake Dixon.
Yep.
Which is great. But so Pedro only picked up another 5 points on him. So now he's still down 15. He's won the last 2 races and still down 15. He's won 5 out of 7 races and he's down 15.
Jesus. Arbolino
is leading by 15.
Okay. What? That makes no sense.
Baby Jesus is trying to catch him.
He'll probably get there.
Well, he's working on it, but it's been not that exciting of racing necessarily, but Pedro blew him out today. It was good though, because anybody that's arguing is Tony, he's leading the points, right? So is Tony, because those two are both shoe-ins to come to MotoGP next year.
Right.
If there's room for anybody, those two are what everybody's talking about.
Yep.
Pedro, so I misspoke last week, actually. We're not going to correction corner, but last week I said June 19th. June 30th, that KTM has to...
That was the answer.
Yep. Okay. And the speculation there is that, so I brought it up earlier, but this Husqvarna team, the only way KTM is going to get out of this bind is they're going to bring a Husqvarna team to MotoGP, which frees up 2 bikes for them to put whoever they want on. Tony Arbolino, everybody's saying Ducati wants him. He's Italian, like they need any more people. So earlier when I was talking about Fabio being out, that's who will take his seat potentially.
Okay.
Put the rookie on there. Tony Arbolino. Pedro Acosta will go to a Husqvarna or a Gas or a KTM, but maybe they'll negotiate with Pole and say, we need you to go ride a Husqvarna, because he's still got another year on his contract.
Right.
So they'd have to buy him out of that contract to get rid of him, which he should be coming back soon.
Pole?
Yep.
Really? I haven't actually heard anything about him besides.
We should look into that.
Okay.
So he was trying to come back from Mugello, actually, and then they said it wasn't good enough. I didn't really hear him talking about it this week. So maybe he'll just skip these 3 races, have the whole summer break, and then be back after that.
Which would make sense. Yeah. Well, and that's what I was actually kind of laughing at myself, because I felt like when Mark wrecked and then had a fractured thumb, I was like, watch him not race next week.
He's probably,
why would you?
You said you'd like to sit down there and talk to the riders?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be a fly on that guy's wall, because he's got to be. You mentioned it, not to go back, but Nakagami saying he's just afraid to ride the bike. Joan Mir is probably going to nurse that injury as long as possible. Alex Rins, I believe, will try coming back, because that's how he is. But I think Joan Mir is just trying to get through the year. But he signed a 2-year with Repsol.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing I was going to look up, and I need to do this for my own anyway, is just look at all the contracts and get a gauge of who's where, because that's anyway. Yeah, we're going to the summer break, so next week we do have Assen, which I guess Netherlands.
Yes.
I don't know that's Europe still, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
Bo Ben Schneider in Moto2, he's from there. That's his home track. That's the one time a year he does great, and we love Bo Ben Schneider, for the record. Okay. And he got involved in that.
So you're saying he can go to his home track and do great?
Yes.
Because I noticed there's some names that you just haven't been talking about in Moto2. Us being from America.
Oh, good hell.
I could think of a couple guys.
I thought about starting a segment on this show, like the American Corner. We could have a flag and an eagle, on the thing, and then I could talk about it.
Why does my hood squeak like this when I open it?
Joe Roberts crashed out of 16th place, which moved Sean Dillon Kelly up a spot.
That's good. That's
into
great.
18th.
I just thought it was funny that you're like, yeah, this guy from the Netherlands always does so well at the Netherlands. I'm like, man, that's insane. That your home track where your people are, you would do well. Yeah, that must be cool. Wish I knew what that was like.
Did you get a chance to look at Loudon?
No, was I supposed to?
Moto America boys are out there racing in Loudon, New Hampshire. I haven't seen the results yet. After this, I'm gonna go check it out. But that purse I told you about.
Yeah,
that purse was $250,000.
Oh yeah. Okay. I remember what you're talking about. So I have not gotten a chance yet.
It's 55 or 57 for the winner, $1,000, but it's $250,000. Anybody who qualifies gets paid.
Wow. Well, let's go.
There's a purse for anybody, but they just had to. I know I say this every episode. Don't quote me on the numbers, but I think they were letting 48 people qualify. It was going to be 30 something. But they had so many people trying to sign up for it that they moved it out to 48. So you qualify, you get paid. I didn't.
All right.
Our boy Heron was supposed to be headed out there, was my understanding, and he was on the list of Moto America stars that were going to be out there. But I was watching I seen somewhere a blurb with the qualifying from day one.
Yeah.
And he wasn't listed. Josh Hayes was on there. Brandon Posh was on there.
Weird.
But I didn't see. So I don't know if he chose not to go. That'd be interesting to check out. It's supposed to be on MAV TV, I understand, at some point.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to check it out, but I'm going to be checking the DVR right after this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unless you had anything else. That's about all I had, honestly.
No.
I don't know. I could keep saying the same things over and over again.
The Ducati Cup.
Yeah. Not even just that. Unfortunately, I'm hopeful for the second half of the season. Not even just forget the Japanese bikes. I am excited to see which Ducati rider comes out strong second half of the season. Obviously, Bagnaia is going to be there. He's trying to follow up, trying to secure that championship, not be a Quartararo or a Mir in our book, right? Become one of the greats. Fully expect that. But we have Martin starting to become a little more of a Sunday guy and less of a qualifying guy, right? Zarco, probably not.
He's out of there.
Okay. Bezzecchi and Marini are kind of. I mean, Bezzecchi's been right there in second. He's in third now because Martin's coming up. But like, why not?
It's Bezzecchi. Okay, we're done with MotoGP.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
We're done.
My bad.
But Moto America is going to the one, the only.
Yeah, I forgot.
The Ridge.
The Ridge Motorsports Park. Only the greatest racetrack in all of North America.
So
I dare you to go ride it and tell me I'm wrong.
Greatest in North America?
Yeah.
They were calling it weird.
Yeah. That's why it's the greatest.
No, I'll give you that. But they were talking about who's going to be good and who's going to be bad, and they were like, "Oh, the track's so weird. Like there's nothing else like it. It's different."
Yeah.
So certain people, they said that out of all the tracks that have a chance of like a local showing up and running well, that's the one.
Really?
Because they said just because it's just different enough that. So they can go to a barber in Atlanta, whatever, and they get it figured out, even if they've never been there before because they've seen this before.
Right.
But said the Ridge is different enough that people that don't have experience there takes them a bit to figure it out.
I could see that. I only make that face because after going to the race last year and watching a couple locals, and this is not to talk bad at all, just to more talk up the Moto America guys, but the locals that I watched, I had actually done a track day with a couple weeks before and watched them go out. I think we've kind of said this before, but I'll say it again. Watched them go out in A group. I was in B group, so I went and watched A group, and these guys are making A groupers look like they're standing still. And I was like, man, who are these guys? So I looked into it. Yeah, they race with Wimra, Amra, club racers up there in the Northwest. I'm like, oh, sweet. And then I find out they're going to be a Moto American. I was like, that's awesome, right? It gives me a guy that I've got a little more buy-in with, right? And he goes out there and he looks like the A groupers that he was racing against or riding with, right, on the track day. And I was like, oof. And he looked amazingly fast until I saw Jake Gagne and everyone else go around that track. And I was like, I don't even want to know what I look like. I'm riding in B group and I'm like, I don't even want to know. But yeah, the Ridge. I love the Ridge. I'm kind of sad I'm not going to be out there this year. But it'll be good to watch it on TV, I think. So
I agree. Look forward to watching that.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the track day circus is a week closer. I know we've already brought that up, so we don't need to do it again, but it is a week closer.
Yep.
I'm excited.
We're not sponsored.
Yes.
Just so you know, not sponsored by Track Day Circus.
But we will be there.
Yeah, we will.
And it'll be fun. Come on out.
It'll be great. Bring your car, bike, family, friends, whatever. Come hang out, watch some motorcycles. There's, like we've said before, plenty of other great activities all day, all weekend. So, yep.
Okay. So we finished?
Yeah, I think that's it. That's about all I got.
Like you said, want to thank everybody for subscribing. Please keep doing that. We'll keep making the shows come out.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.